Hi everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar. This is Romesh Shivastu, Editor-in-Chief, Sites and Plus. Actually, the pandemic has changed everything from the way of living to the business. And what the major shift I see, that is the remote working. Remote working has become the new norm, and itself it has changed a lot of things in HR. If we talk about the employee experience, employee engagement, onboarding, recruitment, learning and development, a lot of things have changed. So today's the agenda for the discussion is HR transformation in this year. We have very rich panel in experience. Let me introduce Sita Rani KP. Currently, she is working with the Philips Innovation Campus, Bangalore, as a head human resources. Sita has around 2 decades of experience in human resources. Before to this, she has been with the companies, some brands like Honeywell, Dell, Cisco, etc. Another very familiar panel, we have Dr. Ankita Singh. Currently, Ankita is working as the Senior Vice President, Human Resources, Administration, IT, and Travel with the Signex. Signex is a IT and digital transformation company. Ankita has around 2 decades of experience in human resources. Before to this company, Ankita has been associated with Hexaware, Gensa, Convergys, and Sahara Group, etc. From the Zimyo, we have Abhishek Kapoor. Abhishek is Assistant Vice President, Products. He is graduated from IIT Roorkee. Abhishek previously worked with the Slumberger at Zimyo, who is on a mission of developing the next generation HRIS, which is centered around enhancing employee engagement. So, Sita, first I would like to come to you. How do you see in last 2 years how the HR is transformed?
Hi, greetings to all. Thanks, Romesh, for that question. Now, HR transformation, that's a very big topic, right? And there are a lot of discussions going on, and there are a lot of white papers, studies, right? So I'm here today to enjoy this conversation, just to share a few of my perspectives based on my experience, right? So to start with, I think, what resonates is that every business is about people, right? Whether you be in IT, manufacturing, accounting, hospitality, no matter what business you do, it's about people. So that's why you would see that the HR function is becoming more and more crucial, and it has transformed from just being a paper pushing department, a payroll factory, to driver of success in most of the companies today. So now today what you see is HR is, the role of HR in planning and driving strategic growth is as important as a technology or a business leadership role, right? So what has changed in the last 2 years? In the last 2 years, I think it's the pandemic, that the unique event that affected human lives and livelihoods. And the way I have seen HR coming through in this last 2 years is basically the first thing is jumping into action for business continuity. The way things were, right? First of all, it was to restore business continuity, to make sure that business is running and people are taken care of. And in that entire melee, what I saw was HR, being pulled in different directions, and all of different dimensions are important, right? It's from, the changing demands of the customers, the business landscape also changed in all this, the changing needs of the customers, people wanted to go digital and demands are more and more. So that involves different set of workforce and skills. So that is on one hand. On the other side, people are working hybrid, and we want people to come back on some aspects, and we want productivity on the other hand. And people are going through a lot of emotions at this point in time for all the personal experiences that they may have had, and they have life choices, right, today, whether they want to come back or they want to have a more balanced life, etc. So that being the case, there's more of listening also that is needed of HR, right? There's more time to be empathetic, to coach leaders to be more empathetic, to care for well-being, right? So across different specters, you are required to play a role, right? And there's also other side of it where you have to make informed choices in a very dynamic way, right? You have to probably come up with flexibility policies or to address different needs that are coming across. So there's also need to adapt technology, use different tools, look at analytics, right? So what I'm noticing is that all of these aspects are coming across where there's more usage of data, there's more quest for good data analytics, and more COEs are being formed within HR, right? So for example, even employee branding is a part of HR now, because you have to have a strong employee value proposition. So you have more professionals coming in that angle, specialists coming in that angle. You have recruitment marketing specialists who come in with a lot of interesting data that tells us where the talent is available, how to go about it, etc. And there are more, and engagement, right? Keeping all the people that you have together. Again, more and more tools in terms of getting their insights, double clicking on some data, etc. So the one hand, the technology is happening. On the other side, we also are working on inspiring leaders, working closely with them to see whether they're really being empathetic. Are we really being building a trust environment? Are we giving psychological safety for folks? Right? All in all, I can say that it's a very, very interesting time for HR at this point in time. And for people who really want to contribute, it's time to really bring out the creativity. I'll just pause here to see if you have any comments or questions.
Ramesh, you're on mute.
Yeah, excellent point, Sita. Dr. Ankita, would you like to add something into this?
I think a lot has already been covered by Sita, but one thing that I have primarily noticed in HR when we talk about transformation is we have accepted dependency on technology to a greater extent than where we were earlier. I still remember, when we reached out to management saying that we are hiring the senior person, and would you be able to take the interview? And even if the individual would have been from a different city, they would still insist on a one-to-one interview or a meeting. But now those things have disappeared. When we talk about collaboration, communication, outbound trainings, all these things were stuck to, being in front of each other, where now they are more receptive. Now, HR has accepted the fact that you cannot just be HR person. You have to do more than HR. You are actually sitting in between, connecting all the dots. Sometime you'll be playing a business role, maybe some other time a branding role, as Sita just mentioned. So it has become more holistic. Now, when I look at HR, I feel that, you can literally plug them anywhere. And there is a significant need, which is quite visible because of the acceptance and adaptability that we have drastically seen.
The major shift, what we have seen, that is the work from home or remote working. So we have also very interesting question from the participant that can HR permanently work from home? So any of you who want to answer this?
My opinion, if I would say, there is no black and white answer to this, and there should not be a clear categorization. Can HR work from home 100%? Maybe a person who's taking care of payroll, that individual can. Maybe a person who is dealing with L&D, and when, like I said, when you are doing an outbound training, you will have to be present there. But more than that, defining a need, whether I should be in office or not, I think what's the purpose, that has to be clearly defined. Are we ourselves pushing ourselves to disconnect from people and purely go theoretical? If yes, trust me, technically, using technology, everything is possible, and we have witnessed that in last 2 years. Should that be the frame or the equation? My personal experience, I would say no. HR should find a right mix of being there in person and handling whatever is required to be used through technology.
Absolutely, I agree with that. It's absolutely, it is a balance, and the
Thank
human part comes alive more so when you're in person. I would say that's my preferred style and preferred way, and I think there's a lot more impact that is created when you're in person. But again, you need to know your role and find the right mix and balance in that.
think you are not HR professional, so what is your opinion into this?
I think the times have changed, as Sita has pointed out. This is the first time in the history when employees have got so much leverage. Like, they have got so many options, and companies are no longer like, they cannot negotiate every term on their own. So this is the time of the employees. And as we talked about the hybrid mode and everything, so I feel like a change has come, and we have to be receptive of that. And completely agree with that point also. Like, can we work from home all the time, or can we have some kind of a mixed scenario? So it depends a lot on the stage of the company also. If you are a very early stage company, probably you would like your HRs to be at their foot all the time. But as the company grows, you have a bigger team. Probably some people can work from home, and it depends on the kind of work they are into. But I think going forward, the hybrid model will be pretty good for all of us. I think it will work. It gives us a lot of flexibility, and employees have got a lot of time to work on other things also, and even the HRs. So yeah, I think the hybrid model is going to stay, and companies would have to be receptive of that.
So if we go to the facts, there are a lot of surveys. Most of the people, they're willing to work in a hybrid work model, not permanently work from home, not permanently from the office. So now, what I understood in last 1 year, the preferences for the hybrid work model, and same I think that applies to the HR professionals as well. Now I would like to come to another question, Abhishek. How do you see that organizations focus on transforming the HR organization models in this hybrid working mode?
So when we talk about transformation, I think we are talking about change, and a change has definitely occurred. So the change is whether we should be adaptive or receptive to hybrid or not. And the point is that we don't have any option. Like, we have seen what happened during the COVID times, and a lot of companies, they did not have any preparation, and they had to go remote. And what happened, like, eventually they started getting adjusted to it. And that's where the tools come. That's where the modern age HRMS tools come to your rescue. And if you talk fundamentally, like, why do we even need employee engagement? I think we do need it, because earlier, all the employees, all the company were working at one place, and it was very easy to engage your employees. New joinees are coming. It was pretty easy. But right now, you would see a new joining coming, and he doesn't have a clue what's happening in the company, because he might be working remote. And that's where, these tools come into place. Like, let's take a typical example. Like, every company has got this fun Friday concept. Like, we do it. And they would have some Fridays, the HRs will organize some team engaging activity, and all the employees come on board to meet each other, to know each other outside work. And that actually helps in building the team. But in this remote times, in this hybrid times, how do you ensure that the same culture is still there? You got to have certain tools. And that is why you will see a lot of shift in the strategy of these HRMS tools. A lot of HRMS tools are going to come, and they are going to tell you that, hey, we have this tool. You used to do this fun Friday at, let's say, office position, but right now your employees are remote. They might be coming, let's say, in a hybrid mode. So how do you go about this? So that is why I see there will be a very fundamental shift in how the HR tech industries evolve in, let's say, coming 5 years. A lot of emphasis would be on these tools that help you, engage your employees and serve you better insights. And secondly, like, in this remote, in this hybrid mode, a lot of we are missing the human touch. Like, when you are talking face to face, you can receive the body language of the person, and that helps you understand what the employee or what the new joinee is thinking, and what is he thinking about the company culture and everything. But right now, you don't have anything. So I feel like there will be a fundamental shift. I'm not saying that there wouldn't be any remote. There would be remote. There would be tools coming, and those tools would have features. Maybe right now you and I am talking, and maybe some AI would be there. and that AI would, sense your facial expressions and give us insights. Give the insights to the HR, like how your new employees are feeling, or how even your old ones are feeling, and what's the mood in the company. Because fundamentally, if you see, like any organization is just a mix of people, fundamentally invested emotionally, physically, and mentally in a common cause. And if your people are doing good, if your people are okay, like if your people feel connected to the cause of your company, that's when you can say you have built a company. And with this remote happening, with this hybrid model happening, you got to have those tools. You got to have those HRMS tools, that will help you monitor or gauge the expressions of your employees, their body language, their everything. And right now, I feel like if you just go by the traditional HRMS models, they do not give you so much of insights. I think if you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. A lot of metrics just go like this. So there will be again a fundamental shift in how the HR industry is driven. It will be more number driven, I feel like you would have a dashboard, and on the dashboard you would be able to see, okay, this is the time that an average employee takes to complete the probation, or this is the time that an average employee takes to completely offboard from the company. Now when you have those data metrics, you would have better visibility to understand which part of your process is lacking. And I think these two major verticals of the HR industry are going to see a rapid shift. One is employee engagement, and the other is metric tracking. And it's going to come very soon. If I talk about Zimyo, we are actually focused on these two verticals heavily. We have invested, I think, mostly all our resources on these two verticals. Like, we are committed to improving the employee engagement, because we know for the HR how tough it is by sitting back at home and try to understand whether your new joinees are feeling comfortable in the company or not, what's the team morale or not. So this kind of anxiety which has been prevalent in this last 2 years or last 1 year, this kind of where you don't know what's going to happen. So that is why you need those tools, and these tools are coming sooner and faster. And the companies which are going to understand this shift, I think they will create a lot of value to this industry, and it's going to grow a lot, I think, in the coming years.
Absolutely. The technology plays a very important role when we talk about the remote working, hybrid work model. Dr. Ankita, one more problem, what we have noticed here while working in a work from home, or you can say remotely, the collaboration is missing somehow. You are the complaints are there that you are not able to collaborate with your peers, your subordinates, sometimes other people in the company. So it also hinders somehow the employee engagement process. So how do you see for the you see that how you can ensure the smooth functioning in an organization that can also boost up the employee experience and employee engagement within the employees?
Thank you, Ramesh. I think Sanjay has very beautifully put in the chat window. We can see that sometimes we miss on the definition of engagement, and I would completely agree, or rather I would add to it that we have to understand the definition of engagement for each individual may be different. We've been hearing about different kind of jokes when HR only does those fun activities to keep employees engaged. Later it was like, if you train a person well, that individual is engaged. Third, you may hear that if a person is getting to perform in the organization, or the role is defined as per the skill set, that individual is engaged. And there are chances when a person would say, I can find a balance, I get enough time to pursue other things, be it training or giving time to my family along with my work, and I'm able to contribute well, I am engaged. So the biggest factor, at least I could notice, or I feel, is anybody who adds value to the system and feel valued in the system as per his or her definition is engaged person. Now, the responsibility of the entire process mostly comes on HR, which again has changed in the organization. Now people have understood that it's a shared responsibility where managers and management is equally involved, and so are employees. Now, I have always spoken about three primary factors, which is process, people, and purpose. The moment we talk about process, we know we have to identify right kind of tools, platforms, like Abhishek was talking about how technology is going to overtake tomorrow. Probably we would be interacting with avatars. We have all heard about metaverse. We don't know where we would reach tomorrow and how significantly the entire world would change. But being in the system, knowing your people, knowing your organization, it's really important to identify, define, implement, and review right kind of processes if you want your people to be engaged. Second is people. Again, we know we have been talking about hybrid. A lot of organizations are still 100% work from home. We know that the implications are different, the scenarios are different. Are you able to cater to individuals? And again, I would say technology is playing a very critical role here, because otherwise, manually, how early you would be able to connect with each individual and know what's their requirement. Sometimes we overdo. We feel that because employees are working from home, we need to do a little extra to ensure that they are engaged, but probably that's not the requirement of an individual. We assume that everybody would want to come face to face, and that's the only way they would get engaged and they would like. But there is a bigger section. When you talk about millennials, they would say, oh, we are fine. As far as our work is getting done, we are getting right kind of information and communication when needed. We are perfectly fine. We are perfectly fine in this virtual world as well. And we will be able to contribute 100% or more than that. So we need to really come out of our rigid definitions and implications that we have defined, keeping HR processes in mind. And third, as I said, would be purpose. Many a times when we define engaged employees, we just take people as a different entity altogether, and we ask HR to do that. The purpose of the organization, where we are headed tomorrow, or where do we see ourselves after 5 years, that has to be communicated, connected well to see that alignment. So to conclude, I would say the bigger responsibility still would be on HR, and HR will have to accept that we are little more than just HR. We have to look at the holistic view and be part of it. And second, I think, as all of us have been repeating, that we all know that because we are dealing with humans, human touch and interaction will be important, but it'll be too late if we still show too much reliance on just human touch and our interactions, and we ignore technology. Because to create a more real-time engaged environment, to know what people feel at this point in time, to every morning, instead of annual surveys, if you want to do a click before they log into the system, they just have a click where they say that this is how I am feeling, and at the start of the day, and while they close down their system, there's another click which says now how you're feeling. You can collect that real-time data, and you can actually define a system which is much more engaged. So we have to find the right mix. And when I say right, again, there is no set formula. Right mix as per your people and your business, which will have to be reviewed, and it'll keep changing as the time passes by.
Absolutely, Dr. Ankita. It's a great challenge, employee experience, to engage the employees. With a lot of attrition, we can see that attrition is rising across the industries. That is might be very high in the IT industry, but it is across the industries as of now. So, Sita, I would like to come to you. What the steps organization can take to engage their people and work on the attrition, how they can reduce the attrition part. Sita, over to you, please.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to comment on Dr. Ankita's. Absolutely. I think it's time for us to take people along. It's not just the HR department, right? And yeah, recently I was at a roundtable and we were exchanging notes on some of these aspects. And what I heard there was like, the HR department also is being named differently. Someone said it's HR office. No, it's not HR, it's people office. Right? It means like it's people, it's the people who participate, it's the people who come up and solve the problem. You have an engagement problem, you talk to them, and they go figure out, they form teams, come up with solutions, maybe tools, maybe different methodologies, but they come up with it. So I think the key to all of this is like, taking people along. I think HR will be leading that and rallying people around. That's how I see this whole thing happening. That's on the previous point. But coming back to retention, right? There are a number of things that a company can do, but maybe I'll just talk about 2 or 3 top of mind. I think Dr. Ankita and Abhishek also touched on it. First thing that comes very powerfully to me as HR person when I talk to people, as I hire people or I'm talking to existing people, is the purpose, right? So be it people with experience or freshers or young generation, they are really looking for a purpose, right? For example, youngsters, they are very focused on like, and I just want to be associated with a sustainability, a goal. The company, does it have a sustainability goal? How can I be attached to it? They're very passionate about the planet and overall, right? So they want to see that purpose. And just yesterday, I was talking to a senior professional, and she was telling me that, Sita, look, I'm here for this purpose. And, if every week, the kind of things that I do, if it doesn't bring tears in me, it's not worth it. I've already spent 20 years of work life. It's not really worth it. If it's not moving me to do something really compelling, it's not worth it for me, right? So one thing that I can say is, how employees can really bring that purpose to everyday work. That's one thing that we can look at, number one. Number two, it's about setting a learning environment, right? When you say learning environment, it's not just about the training department or, the kind of learning opportunity, the training opportunities that we give people. It's a curiosity-based training, right? If people may want to upskill, they may want to learn something new. It's not just about young engineers or we're talking about less experienced people. It's also across experience levels, right? Building a culture of curious learning, providing a variety of different opportunities where methodologies can be learned or some problem solving can be done in a different manner. Even scenario based planning, right? For example, the pandemic happened, we were not prepared for it. So today we have to be prepared for more and more new scenarios. So having that culture of providing that learning environment can be very enriching. The third point is the psychological safety part. More and more today, when people have come out of the pandemic and going through different things in their lives, well-being is at the core of everything, right? So how do we build a culture around this? First of all, having those dialogues, having those powerful dialogues to show that people, you care for your people, having your leaders exhibit that empathy and genuinely be compassionate, training them to be so, right? Sometimes coaching, nudging, subtly showing them that how you can say the same thing in different ways, providing that psychological safety for people to show up as themselves, right? Today we have diversity, we have more and more organizations are hiring different kinds of diverse communities of people. So for them to show up as who they are, you need to provide a more inclusive culture, a little more safer psychological place. So for me, these are the top 3 things that I believe every organization to look at to retain talent.
Thank you, Sita. Yeah. I think we have covered the employee engagement part here. There are certain questions from the participants that for the tips for the employee engagement. I think we have covered that. We have taken a lot of inputs from the panelists on this part. Abhishek, there's one question from the participant that what are the innovations, especially into this learning and development function? So I think you are the better person to answer this.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'll take this question. So what happens, traditional system, let's talk about the traditional system. In the traditional systems, a lot of emphasis was given by the companies on this learning and development system. The courses were defined by them and the employees just had to go through the courses. I think there is a shift right now. The employees want to be a part of this decision, like what courses should be a part of his curriculum or not. And therefore, I feel like kind of tools we need to develop. I know there are certain tools in the market which are working on this. The kind of tools where employees is also a part of the decision making, like what the kind of information or what kind of courses should become a part of his training and learning diagram or a program. Because at the end of the day, every employee, I think Sita and Dr. Ankita also pointed out, like at this point of time, employee wants to have a purpose and they have got certain goals in their minds. And just putting them, telling them that these are the courses that we should be pursuing, I think it's no longer a good strategy. I'm not saying that the owners should go completely to the employees, but they should be a party of this. Like they should be allowed to choose what they want to work upon. And that is how you keep your best employees engaged. And that is how you keep your best performers, in the same company. Like they do not look for different opportunities and different companies. This happens particularly when they get bored on a certain task. And if you talk about this learning and development program, I feel like employees should be a part of this while when their curriculum has been decided.
Thank you, Abhishek. One question from the participants for the HR professionals: how to get into HR, no experience? Piece of advice for the student who currently pursuing the MBA in HR. So any of you who want to answer this?
I would request others because I've already replied in the chat. So
I think there are a lot, it depends on, there are a lot of different opportunities for freshers, right? If they want to just start off right from, the onboarding roles to, it could be the HRMS kind of roles, or it could even be a part of an RPO that kind of screens candidates, invites candidates, understands the methodology. There are a number of opportunities. So there are WhatsApp groups, there are, I think it's just also about networking with various people and keeping an open mind that HR function entails a lot of different roles, processes, COEs, like I mentioned earlier. Just keeping an open mind as to kickstart any one of them, right, based on your interest. That keeping that open mind is one, and second is these are various opportunities one can look at. Again, network, get onto WhatsApp groups, get onto various network opportunities.
Thank you, Sita. Dr. Ankita, if we talk about the hybrid work model, a lot of problems are there and solution, what comes with that HR technology, that may be for the collaboration, that may be employee engagement or any kind of this issue. So how has the technology evolved and helped the organization who the HRMS during the remote working?
So Ramesh, if we talk about while we are working remote, how technology has helped, as I mentioned in my earlier answer as well, there was a time when we were only working from home and technology was the only medium through which we could survive. So technology took over everything. It was definitely more than mere evolution. We could not exist, and I would say companies really fell off who were not able to use technology at the right time, or probably those small transformation that they could initially do and they missed on it. If we really refer to pre-COVID and post-COVID, because of the experience that we all have gone through, from a could have and a should have, we have already moved to a must have level. Now, when you talk about HR as a process and technology, we've been talking about employee engagement, employee experience, their entire life cycle, which is entirely dependent on data. And now when we talk about data and that we have been collecting throughout the year and we've been using it towards the end of the year to, get onto a decision, probably we were already late by 9 or 10 months. It's more like Indian law. A lot of organizations have already done so much, but Indian law, we are still defining those norms. So real-time data is only now available through technology. When we talk about our organization, what each individual is doing, not just the performance appraisal which happens on an annual basis, but we have got into quarterly analysis, which is the moment you are on the last working day of the third month, you have to say what all you have learned, what all you want organization to contribute, what are the misses from our end, what are the hits. These were the things now which we have added because we know people are not sitting with us. probably their needs would have changed, their directions would have got more aligned, and they are expecting us to be more present for them and to define our strategies according to them. So that's one thing which is real data. Second, personalized. Now, a lot of people in the chat also, we've been talking about L&D or learning and development. Earlier, imagine most of the trainings used to happen as a classroom training, or even if it was a video training, online training, we expected a batch of 25, 30 people to sit and attend. Now the flexibility, personalization, where a person can read and learn at his own individual pace, depending on the time that individual is getting, all that personalization or flexibility or self-paced environment is possible only because of the technology. Third aspect, I would say, when we talk about multi-generational workforce or multi-location workforce, you will not be able to handle everything manually or physically. So there is a higher dependency on technology. And I would not say that it's a feel-good factor, but it's a must tool that any individual or organization should have in the organization. Now, like Romesh, you mentioned when you spoke about survey, a lot of people, or almost 90% people, are saying that we would prefer hybrid, which means the virtual side of work will stay forever, probably, and is there any possibility of not showing dependency or not enhancing yourself with technology, with HRMS tools, or with tools where you can work more on collaboration, project management tools? There are so many things, which a lot of organizations have adopted, and they have made their workplace more virtual, which is no less than a real. So technology is not going anywhere. I feel any organization that now is defining their next 5 years plan, their 40% reliance or importance is definitely on technology, and it will find its place in its hard time, or if we have already not considered, we are already late to realize that no system, be it human related like HR system or any other system, would survive without technology.
Thank you, Dr. Ankita. Absolutely, the remote working is going to stay. If we come to the, if we see the discussion, so always the technology is the key point that can help us to prepare a successful hybrid working model in organizations. So Abhishek, I would like to come to you that how the HRMS that has come into the picture, and it has changed the traditional way of HR functions that include hiring, recruiting, your performance management, your learning, and all the HR functions. So how do you see the role of HRMS here?
So what I'll do, I'll share my personal experience. Like, I have worked with a bigger organization, companies of the size of, let's say, 1 lakh employees, and I have worked with a company which started with, let's say, 5 employees. And you would see that newer companies, they don't really see value in the HR tech platform until or unless they see rapid scaling in their company. Because when new funding arrives, you have to get new employees onboarded, and that is the time you really see why do we need these HR tech systems in place. So I would see a lot of companies starting up these days. A lot of millennials are starting companies who might not have any experience working with, let's say, a bigger organization, or let's say having a company of their own. So we have to keep in mind that this is a new persona also. These new age startup founders who might be 25 years old, 26 years old, and they are scaling their companies. So you would see a drastic shift in the strategy of these platforms catering to these organizations also. These are mostly tech companies, and they are going to grow further. And a lot of strategy would change catering to these persona also. And talking about the traditional HR systems, I think they were centered more around the HR. They had little or very less about the employee experience. But right now you were seeing a very gradual, or I would say a quick shift towards optimizing your HR tech platform, towards catering to a better employee engagement platform. Like, I'll take my personal example. Like, in our company, we actually use a team collaboration app. When we went to work from home, communication broke like anything. And because we had this team collaboration messaging app, it's just like a WhatsApp application, but for work. And collaboration became easier. New joinings are coming, they get to know, okay, these are the new team members who we have in our team. And it becomes very easy for new people to collaborate with each other. So I feel like that the traditional HR systems were more focused around the HR part, but going forward, you have to understand the entire life cycle of the employee from the day one he joins the company till the nth day. Let's say he has left the company and is going to receive the offer letter or the relieving letter, I'm sorry. So these experiences have to be improved. The manual efforts which were put by the HR before would go away. The platforms that truly realize this, that you are there to automate their task. You are not there to have a platform and then HR is doing all the manual stuff. So the platforms, the tools that truly understand this would give you a very wow experience. And the experience would not only be limited to the HR, it would percolate to the entire organization. And the idea is to build a tool that is so sticky that employees who is finding, let's say, joining on day one, and he gets to understand everything from the day one from the tool. So it's a very simple thing. Like if I have joined a new company, let's say I have joined remotely, and if I have my HRMS application where I log in and I get to see my company policies, the important documents that I have to upload, and all the relevant information that is required for me, I think that is a wow experience. Like if a new joinee is joining and by the click of one button, if you can decide like these are the accesses that has to be given to the employee. Like let's say if I am joining an engineering department, I might be getting some accesses like software accesses. And traditionally what used to happen, somebody used to do this manually. Like, okay, Abhishek has joined this company, let's give him Jira access, let's give him GitHub access. But right now you can do this all thing with one click. And that is the experience that these new age companies are aspiring for. And keeping aside the new age companies also, if we talk just about the SMBs, we are seeing a gradual shift in their expectations also. They do not want just a leave and attendance system. They want a system where they can track every metric, where they can track metric, measure them, and improve their performances. So I would say the customer expectations has increased like anything, and it's going to bring in a lot of innovation for these traditional tools, be it the recruitment system, be it the performance management system, be it the HRIS system. I think you're going to see a lot of innovation in terms of the experience that you provide, in terms of the automation that you give to these HRs, in terms of the insights. The insights part is pretty important. I think it will add a lot of value to these companies because numbers in itself do not add much value if you cannot draw insights from them. So I feel like dashboards on your screen that tells you exactly what you have to do in order to, let's say, optimize a certain HR process would actually be very helpful, and the HR tech industry will be taken by a storm when these things arrive. And I don't think they are very far away, just a 1 year away, a couple of years away, when this end-to-end integration, end-to-end experience would be there for us to use.
Thank you, Abhishek. There's a one added question to this, that sometimes, like other transformations, the HR tech transformation rate also fails. Might be the different regions. Sometimes that the budget are there could be the expectations. Your expectations are high. So how do you see this? Why the HR tech transformation fails?
Can you please come again? Actually, the last part of the question. Can you please come again?
Yeah, I'm saying like other transformations. Sometimes when you start something transforming, the changes you are putting the changes, so you see that is not working properly. That is some failures you face. So why like other transformation, why the HR tech it fails? So that is the budget issue. You need the more budget for that. Are your expectations are high? What is the reason?
So I would say the primary reason you fail a product is because you haven't understand your customer. The primary reason HR tools have failed because they have failed to evolve with time. Like you might have done good with your customers today, but that doesn't mean the same set of features, the same set of tools would work fine with them, let's say 5 years down the lane. So the number one thing that has failed these traditional startups is because they have failed to evolve with the customer expectations. And secondly, if I just talk about the Indian market, I think the Indian market is not a very standard market like the US. And when HR systems try to do everything at once on their platform, that is when they lose their focus. So the important thing is that you have to keep your focus. You have to be obsessed about your customer. Okay, this is the target market that I'm going to go about. When you have this, I think you are on the right track. And the second thing has to be customer obsession. You have to evolve your product with the customer expectations. The traditional systems won't longer stay until or unless you have a certain roadmap and plan. That roadmap has to be in line with what your customer is expecting. And sometimes your customer is not even expecting like you can build this, but if you can understand his or her problem from the grassroots level and give him a solution that he wasn't even expecting, that is where the wow experiences come. And the primary reason, which I have to say, has been these two things. Like, you don't understand where your customer is evolving, and you lose the focus. You try to do everything all at once, and that is the primary reason why most or many HR tech companies fail.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Abhishek. We are talking about the employee experience, employee engagement. So a lot of, in last 2 years, we have seen a lot of focus from the companies on employee well-being, their wellness, and mental wellness as well. So this is also a question from the participants. What is your take on this? How you see and how the employees should focus on this employee well-being, their wellness and mental wellness? Any of you want to answer this?
Yeah, Ramesh, I actually put in some answers there. Maybe if anyone else wants to take a shot, otherwise I can repeat it.
Prankita, you?
So obviously, when we're working from home, wellness to an extent has been compromised because we have started expecting the moment you say you're working from home, people would say, oh, so you're working from home, right? So you have enough time because you're not traveling, and you must have got enough time for your personal work during the day. So why can't you take call towards the evening or late night when client is expecting? So there are genuine challenges that employees are facing. What we can do, we have to create a culture. I mean, obviously, if we generalize it, we come up with a generic policy or a process and we send it to everybody. I don't think that would help. What we did in our organization, we picked up each project. We started interacting with people. One, we started taking direct inputs. Second, we created an anonymous forum where we said that anything, any incident, you put it down as a story. And obviously, when you're working in a team, you just cannot go and pinpoint a person that, this is against you. And obviously, even team member would not be able to comfortably work. So we started publishing those stories as anonymous story that this happened in some team. And this is what could be a solution as per our reading or our understanding. How it helped, it gave an indirect indication to that individual who would definitely know where the story is coming from. And at the same time, it was a trigger to other people that it could go to HR or management, or it would get published. Some sort of indirect trigger, it really helped. And second, what we did, we identified those pockets through direct inputs, and we started conducting trainings. We started telling people that this is something where we have to define our line. And more than that, more than being strict, we started incentivizing managers and team leads and people who could support and understand other people who exist in the team. So if at all there is a complaint about their wellness or about stress or overworking, if next month the score is going down, we give them a voucher that the entire team can go for lunch or dinner, so that they are working towards it. But yes, reduction, I would say 60% to 70%, we have already seen. Complaints have reduced drastically. The inputs have improved. But more than that, people are also more aware and they are more considerate because of the training. The name of the training is Unique, where we clearly indicate that every individual is unique in their demand, in their capacity, in their capability. Do not judge and do not overreact. help them to grow with the system. So that has really helped in creating a workplace which is mentally stable.
Thank you, Dr. Ankita.
Yeah, I think I'll just add, I think it's more around the dialogue, like I was telling, right? To keep that culture alive of really listening into people very closely to see what is it. And also on the other side, encouraging people to speak up, right? Most often people hesitate, sharing what's happening. And, that having that continuous dialogue, encouraging people to speak up is another. And another thing that I have seen is mostly especially the top management or the leaders who are extremely driven and result oriented. They think they shoulder all the responsibilities and they're just running after it. Most often, I think that those are the pockets where we may want to spend some time asking them to slow down and take care of their well-being. The high chances of burnout at that stage, sometimes not even pausing to know what is happening. So that's one pocket we should not ignore. And also, some of these employee assistance programs that prevail are becoming more and more relevant these days because they do come and educate upfront. They are doing sessions, more and more awareness sessions on various aspects, and also provide confidential counseling and other support that is needed.
Thank you, Sita.
So I think I'll add one more point. Definitely, like you have to measure the wellness using these surveys. But what you can do in advance is that you can, solve the problem at the grassroots level. Like if your employees are not feeling mentally well, the reasons can be either their personal life is going bad or they are not being properly recognized in the company. So having a proper recognition system in the company, like recognizing your employees who have just joined your company or who have been working for long, like a proper recognition system in place where they are publicly recognized. I think that system should be in place. A lot of tools have started doing it. And I think that does add a lot of value to the lives of the employees. Because at the end of the day, we all are human beings and we do our hard work. And right at the end, we want a little bit of gesture of appreciation. I think just a little step towards this adds a lot of value in the lives of the employees. So maybe if you don't have a public recognition system in your companies, I think we should definitely have this. Recognizing your employees on a time-to-time basis would add a lot of productivity in your teams.
Thank you, Abhishek. Abhishek, any presentation would like to share with us?
Yeah, like I think I'll focus on certain things that we as a company has done, like Zimyo as an organization. We are absolutely bullish on employee engagement. We know that this is the next big thing that is going to take away the industry, and a lot of HR professionals will find it very handy. So I'll just present my screen just to give you a couple of screenshots or how the tool is going to work, how this will help your company, how this will help your employees boost their productivity and tackle all these challenges which hybrid and remote, brings into place. So, Ramesh, can you just allow me to share my screen? I think I don't have the rights yet.
We can help you.
One sec.
So as I was saying, like the kind of tools that help you recognize your employees.
Abhishek, I'm really sorry to interrupt. Can you check if you want to share your screen?
I can share my screen.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much. So this is the kind of things that I'm talking about. A kind of a LinkedIn for your own company where everyone is connected. People can share stuff with their peers. I'll give you a classic example, like when work from home became prevalent for the first time. You remember a lot of people went into photography and they were sharing all kind of their coffee pictures, the nature pictures, and leveraging that you can have competitions in your company. Like that is what our customers did. They couldn't host team building activities because everyone was remote. So what they did, they utilized this tool. They asked participants and employees to share all kind of memes, all kind of images, and the ones with the greatest number of likes or greatest number of reaction wins. So this is how you organize activities while sitting back at home. It's not like you can only organize activities when everybody is in office. These tools have increased so much, they have given you so much power or ability to organize similar activities right now while sitting back at home. So this is one of the feed that we have. We promote our customers, our partners to share this with their employees. The employees are okay sharing this kind of post. People are interacting on these posts, and that helps bring a lot of engagement. You know what's happening in your company. Bonds build, which would have built if, let's say, people were interacting in person. But right now, when people are sitting right back at home, sharing posts, sharing recognition for their peers, I think that helps a lot. Secondly, work collaboration becomes very difficult. So you do need a team collaboration app. You need an application where employees, if they are sitting back at home, they can collaborate about their work. They can exchange work messages. They can ask their peers about certain things which are important. Because initially everything used to be in office. Like you can just go to the person and talk and get whatever information you wanted. But right now, within a hybrid system, with a remote system, I think we do need these some kind of tools. And adoption of these tools have picked up very drastically, I would say, in the last 1 year. And I think we haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg. It's gonna grow drastically because the kind of inputs that we have received about these kind of applications is delightful. Like they love the product. They absolutely love when their employees are sitting back at home and are able to collaborate so seamlessly and so smoothly. So these are the tools that we are absolutely bullish on as a company. And if you would like to use these tools, definitely visit our website. I think somebody would give you a demo and help you understand how leveraging these tools will increase the productivity of your organization.
Thank you, Abhishek. Now we are at the very last moment. There's one question, and a lot of participants are asking the same question. If we have the concluding lines, what the tips are there for employee engagement and how they can boost up the employee experience in the organization? So quickly, if you can come up with some tips. Dr. Ankita?
The question, Ramesh, is how we can be more.
The participants are asking about the tips. What are the tips for the employee engagement in current working models? You can say hybrid. So how they can engage their employees well. So this is very general question from every participant. So employee engagement, how they can boost up the employee engagement in current working model. What are the tips are there for this? And how they can connect with the people.
Sure.
This is also one of the questions.
So the first one, I would say we have to come out of the habit of generalizing our policies and processes. Obviously, there would be fundamental, basic policies, processes, but as HR or as management, we have to be a little open, knowing that now that people are working from home and everybody holds a different perspective. We should be receptive and we should be open to change when there is a need. One answer I just posted, but I think it's only, it can be seen only to that individual, but would want to add second point as, a lot of times we are concerned about attrition and why people are not engaged because we reach out to them on the day. When I say the day, when it's an exit interview, we would call them in the morning and we'd say, today is your last working day. Can we sit for an interview? How do we expect that they would share the reality with us? Similarly, when we talk about annual appraisal, we actually sit with them on the last day of the year or on the day of appraisal. And we say, fine, now tell us, how was your year? We expected this, you remember in March, you didn't do this, or in July, you didn't do this. I told you that. So how accustomed our mind is to remember and recall everything, and how receptive we are or how open we are to a person who would talk to us only on the last day. So exit interview, we replaced by that by a stay interview. We started connecting with people on more regular basis. And similarly, all the processes were impacted. What I mean to say with the second point is, please start connecting with people more regularly. Do not wait for the last day. And third and the last point is technology is going to expand. It will probably be defining the future. It's up to us to define or to find our place as HR professional, which will be not HR or technology, but it has to be HR and technology. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ankita.
Yeah, my 2 cents on that is, you said boost up, right? So the 2 things is, one is related to what Dr. Ankita said about exit data, right? Of course, I think most companies are collecting exit data, but what are they doing about it is the key, right? Do we really do something about it? Do we really dig deep and try to get insights? And if there is a data that can be double-clicked and looked at, that is one thing that can give us a lot of, and I learned a few things recently when somebody was leaving. I had a long call, and exactly like you said, it was the last day. And by chance, I happened to talk to that person as a sample, and then I got a lot of insights during that time. So exit data is one thing. And second is if there is an employee engagement survey that is there, if you can really dig deeper into those aspects and see what are we missing or what we can bring forth, that's also something. And just having a robust action plan around it and ensuring closure, going back to the employees and say, hey, you said this to us, this is what we heard, and this is what we did. Are we in the right direction, or is there anything, a course correction? Is an open dialogue, an ongoing dialogue that we should have with regards to engagement.
Thank you, Sita. Any closing comment, Abhishek?
I'll add just one point. I think a lot of emphasis should be given on the quality of the data also. Like if the employees who are leaving are actually being genuine with the inputs that they are giving. Like sometimes they just don't want to hurt your feelings. They want to give you, okay, I'm leaving because of better opportunity. So how do you really get into that crux, like get the real data, the real feedback from the employee? And I think in that scenario, technology really works because you could float them exit interview surveys, which are anonymous. Now, right now, the employee is sitting at his home or somewhere remotely, and he has the surety that all the feedbacks that I'm sharing will be anonymous. It will not be like the HR would know that this particular person said something about a particular topic. So I think technology does help in that way, but there is a counterpart of this because some employees are more comfortable coming face to face. You do get a lot of more information when they are talking face to face with you and telling you exactly what is right with the company or what can be improved. So again, there are advantages and disadvantages on both the sides. Having a mix of it so as to conveniently improve your processes, improve your culture and everything, I think would be an ideal scenario. And having technology and the traditional ways of interviewing exiting employees, I think that would absolutely work. You just have to identify what are the pros and cons of both the approaches.
Thank you, Abhishek. If I say after the discussion, there are few points to just come out that remote working is going to stay. Technology will play definitely the important role into this. Employee experience, that is a challenge as of now. Employee engagement, we need to focus on this. So attrition is rising in across all the industries. If you want to reduce the attrition, you have to focus on employee experience. How you can focus on this? Connect with the people, connect with your employees, develop your employees. We have also discussed about this. Care your employees, we have also taken this point, and help them to perform with the HRMS platforms. So this is, I think, the conclusion of this whole discussion. Thank you, all the panelists, everyone, and all the participants for joining this webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ramesh. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you all.